You open the fridge and you feel a small flicker of guilt. Maybe it's the bread. Maybe it's the sugar hiding in something you didn't expect. Somewhere in the back of your mind, there's a quiet assumption that none of this is what your body was supposed to eat. That somewhere back in the deep past, humans ate purely, simply, the way nature intended. But the real answer is far stranger than that. Ancient humans didn't eat one diet. They didn't eat clean. And what they actually put in their mouths would probably surprise you more than anything sitting in your kitchen right now. So what did ancient humans actually eat? Let's find out what your ancestors really lived on and why so much of what you've heard about it is wrong. Start with the image most people carry around without questioning it. Lean meat, wild greens, maybe a handful of berries. Something clean, simple, and stripped of anything processed. That image has a name, the Paleo diet, and it's built almost entirely on a fantasy. Anthropologist Catherine Milton spent decades studying primate and human nutrition, comparing the diets of wild primates to reconstructed ancient human diets. Her research points to something the paleo fantasy conveniently leaves out. There was never one single ancient human diet. There were hundreds, thousands really, depending on where your ancestors happened to live. A hunter-gatherer near the Arctic Circle ate almost nothing like a hunter-gatherer near the equator. One relied heavily on fat and meat from marine mammals because almost nothing green grew where they lived. The other built a diet mostly around tubers, fruit, and insects because meat was harder to come by and plants were everywhere. Neither diet looked anything like a modern paleo meal plan, and neither looked anything like each other. Here's where it gets stranger. Even within a single environment, ancient diets weren't clean in the way people imagine. They were opportunistic, messy, and often built around foods you'd probably find disgusting today. Take insects. For most of human history, in most parts of the world, insects weren't a survival food eaten only in desperation. They were a completely normal, reliable source of protein and fat. Termites, grubs, grasshoppers, ants. Anthropologist Alyssa Crittenden, who has spent years studying the diet of the Hadza in Tanzania, has documented how important insects, and specifically honey, actually were and still are to hunter-gatherer nutrition. Honey, in particular, turns out to be one of the most calorie-dense, highly prized foods a hunter-gatherer could find, and Hadza foragers will climb enormous trees, risking real injury, specifically to get it. That single fact quietly demolishes another myth, the idea that ancient humans avoided sugar entirely. They didn't avoid it. They went to extraordinary lengths to get it, because concentrated sugar was rare, valuable, and exactly the kind of dense energy source a hunter-gatherer body craved. Bone marrow tells a similar story. Long before humans were reliably hunting large game themselves, early hominins were likely scavenging carcasses left behind by other predators, cracking open bones to get at the fatty, calorie-rich marrow inside. Some researchers argue this marrow, not lean muscle meat, may have been one of the most crucial early sources of fat in the human diet, precisely because fat was scarce and valuable in a way it simply isn't for you today. So if you're picturing ancient humans eating clean grilled meat and salad, replace that image with something closer to this. A person cracking open a bone for the fat inside. A person risking a bee sting 50 feet up a tree for a mouthful of honey. A person eating termites straight out of a mound because termites were reliably available and modern squeamishness about insects didn't exist yet. Here's where the story gets even more counterintuitive. One of the single biggest turning points in human diet wasn't a food at all. It was fire. Primatologist Richard Wrangham has spent much of his career arguing that cooking, not meat, not any particular ingredient, was the true turning point in human evolution. His research suggests that cooked food delivers dramatically more usable calories than raw food, because cooking breaks down tough plant fibers and denatures proteins, making them easier for the body to digest and absorb. Wrangham's hypothesis is that this calorie boost from cooking may have been essential to fueling the growth of the unusually large, energy-hungry human brain. Think about what that means. The defining organ of what makes you human, the brain capable of language, art, science, everything you consider distinctly human, may only exist because your ancestors figured out how to set food on fire and eat the result. Not a special ingredient, not a specific natural food, a technology. Cooking is, in a very real sense, humanity's oldest and most consequential food processing method, and I